How you guys doing? This is Jamel Martin from Team Agani Brigade, and I'm here to show you guys a deck profile. This is for Hero World. However, this won't be a Brave Machine one. This will be a Superheroes deck profile. I've been playing this for a little while now. I've been having so much fun with it. Really good deck. Really simple, highly effective. I've been calling it Big Hero 6 for the guys who've heard me call it, who've heard me name it. That's the Buddy, the new ass overlord. There's a flag. Let's get started. First, let's go straight to the butter. 4 copies of Captain Answer, Overlord. This card, stupid good. Good 825, pay 2 gauge to call or transform. He has a 6 skill, act skill. You can mill the top card of your opponent's deck. If it's a monster, he gets double attack. If it is a spell, you get to pay a gauge to destroy a monster or item on their field. Really good. And the beauty of it is you're milling their deck. You're not milling yours and trying to guess anymore. So if it's an item or an impact, you don't get anything, but guess what? Your opponent don't get to use it either, which is a good thing. It's just stupid good to do. Even when you go first, I mean, even though you're not going to really do too much of anything, just mill their deck anyway. It doesn't hurt you to do that. So this guy is awesome. He, in my opinion, for superheroes, he's one of the new MVPs. And he just came out the new, last set. Get over here, little critter. Next, I play 4 copies of Adventure, Continent, gunvellz. He's 2 gauge, 828, double attacker. That's it. He's a really good beat stick. He puts 4 crit on the board in 2 separate attacks. He's an 828, which means he's hitting over a lot of things. Really good card. In my opinion, one of the best cards to come out of the Hero World trial deck. Next, I play 3 Rescue Dragon Leader, Immortal Spirit. He's a 816. His skill's okay. Basically, what you do when he attacks and destroys a monster, he lets you draw a card, and he has double attack. He's basically there for clearing house. That's purely what he's there for. You see monsters, you see little pesky monsters on the field, have him attack them so you can draw. Usually after 2 or 3 turns of him being there, he's done his job, and he probably drew you enough cards to get you through the rest of the game. Next, I play 3 copies of Rescue Dragon, Forcearms. His skill, well, first, he's an 827, size 3. He's 3 gauge instead of 2 gauge, so he's a little bit pricier to call, but he has a decent skill. You get to take a superhero from your drop zone once per turn and put into a soul. In most matchups, he doesn't really seem to do too much different. Like, he doesn't seem to do too much, like, anything different really than the other double attackers I've named. But in certain matchups, he shines a lot, especially if he racked up at least like 2 or 3 soul. It becomes really hard to get off the field. So against wall spirits that like to sit on Champion Lord, against Demon Godel, he's good for attacking those guys because he's not going to go away after 1 hit, unlike the other size 3s. Also, if I don't have a transform, he's good to put in the middle and just rack up soul. If they can't get rid of him, unless they shadow dive or penetrate pretty hard, then he's a pretty good wall for you as well. Last of the size 3s, 1 Burn Nova. Why not? A lot of times I usually have about 3 gauge. I mean, deck is pretty decent defensively, but in case they put me to 0, I want to still be able to play. So I threw 1 in, and he's pretty decent. He's my last attempt to stay alive. Pretty good guy. That's all my 3s. Let's go to the 1s because I don't play any 2s. I play 3 copies of Rescue Dragon Project Gunner. Thank you, Kevin Cho, by the way, for the foils. Shout out. He's a 3/2/1, size 1, with a skill of if I'm in transform, I could discard him from my hand and gauge 2. Pretty good, because if I don't have a hyper energy, here's another way to get gauge. And sometimes I might not want to gauge 4. I might only need 2 for a spell, for a monster, something like that. And going through 4, that means those 4 cards I'm not going to be able to play because they're engaged. I might need the next, like, the 3rd or 4th card or so. Instead of gauging everything, it kind of makes me use just enough for what I need. Really, really good card. On to the zeros. 1 Dawnarang, our Countdown of the Distant Days. Yeah. 2/1/2. Basically a boomerang dragon clone for everyone. He attacks at the end of battle, bounces back to hand. He's that last little piece to give me a nice, depending on my formations, anywhere from 4th to 6th, maybe even a 7th attack. If there's an open center, this deck with him gives me the capability of putting 10 damage down the center. So he's good, and he's the last little piece to the superhero gal formation. Next, I play 1 OG Countdown SP. He's good. He's a 4/1/1, basically Armor Knight Eagle. Good stats for size 0 that can keep coming back, and he doesn't hurt my field presence at all. I can have a big size 3 and have him on there, and I mean I'm attacking with good monsters. His skill, at the beginning of your turn, pay 1 life, call him on the field. So if they do get rid of him, he can keep coming back. Last but not least, let's 4 copies of Decker Drum SD. He's a 2/1/1, pretty decent for a size 0. I mean, it ain't the greatest, it ain't the worst, definitely ain't the worst. His skill is awesome though. Counter speed, I can take that Decker Drum SD, put him to the drop zone to destroy a size 1 or less monster on the field. So he is a kamikaze Dragonic Thunder in the form of an awesome size 0. So the crazy little critters that are sitting around, like adding that little extra damage or having that stupid little effect, you can get rid of those guys, as well as attack. So he's good. And because this isn't Dragonic Thunder, or I guess what's the Hero World equivalent? There, I see it. Can't be nullified because it's a monster skill, not a spell. Something to note. That's all the monsters. Let's go into spells. I'll play 4 copies of I've Seen Through Your Moves. Basically, basic nullifier. Let me readjust. Basically, if there's if I have an open center and the opponent attacks, I can nullify it. Not really much else to say about it. I play 4 copies of Justice Will Prevail. He's a Drago Energy clone for superheroes. Any superhero in battle gets +3/+3 in counterattack. This also works for your transform as well. So Captain Answer as your item, he will give you 8k defense and also attack back for 11. Really, really good. And all your monsters, all your size 3 monsters will counterattack back for 11 and have pretty decent defense to boot. So really good card. Next, I play 4 copies of It's Here, the new suit. Counter, choose a superhero in battle, give it +2/+2. However, if it's a transform, it basically becomes a Wrath of Dragon clone, giving it an additional +4/+4, making it a +6/+6. So for Captain Answer Overlord, that basically ups the defense to 11 and its attack to 14. There's not too many things it can't hit at that height. But also, the defense, it makes it really hard to hit. So I mean, for 5k defense, initially it's not that hard to hit over, but then when you up it to 11, it makes it hard to get past that. So in certain matchups and some attacks, it can also be an additional shield. I play 4 hyper energies. No reason not to in this deck. You can't search them. And even though you have limited drawing capability in Immortal Spirit, I don't like relying on them. You're going to be using gauge quite a bit. Your monsters all cost 2 gauge. Your big monsters cost 2 gauge or more. Burn over 3. Your spells, some of them have gauge cost, so you definitely want to make sure you have the gauge at all times. Play 3 copies of that as an afterimage. Its skill. Choose a superhero in battle, and next time it would be destroyed, keep it from leaving the field. This also includes your item, so people are going to try to pop your item. It's too good not to pop, so that's one way of keeping it alive. Your monsters, you might not want them gone, so that will help you keep them alive for your next turn. Now, however, this does not stop penetrate, so if he's in the middle and you get hit with penetrate, it's going to stay there, but you're going to get penetrated, so just keep that in mind also. Next, I played 2 Or So the Dream Ahead Went. Spell Nullifier, pay 2 gauge, nullify the spell cast by your opponent. In Hero World, I always main spell nullifiers. I have to put them in somehow. I cannot play a Hero World deck without them main boarded. Just how it is. It's pretty good, so I put 2 in. 2 copies of It's About Time I Got Serious. At 6 or less life, you pay 1 gauge to draw 2. I mean, you might need to still be drawing after Immortal Spirit. He might have put in some work, but not enough. Might have not put enough. So, I mean, you might need to get 2 more cards. But, I mean, it can go up to 3. I wouldn't play any more than that just because you already have to wait to be at 6 life anyway. So 4 is going to be a little too cloggy in your hand and in your deck. I have 2 copies of... I knew something like this would happen. This is another way to get Captain Answer back onto the field. Basically, you pay 1 gauge, and you transform into a card with transform in its name by paying transform costs. So for Captain Answer, you're gonna need 3 gauge, 1 to cast for the spell, 2 for the transform. But if they do pop them, this is another way to get them back. Last but not least, one of my favorite spells in Hero World. It feels so good to play this card again. And you'd be surprised how effective it is now in this deck. 2 Hero Climax. This card is bae. With your double attack and size 3 on the side, a Dawnarang in the front, a size 0 on the left, and a Captain Answer with the capability of double attack, that's 6 attacks. Let's say the 0 on the side is Decker Drum. You have up to 4 or 5 attacks that are coming from superheroes. All you need is 2 monsters to be popped during that time. And you're getting 2 life and resanding in your item. Really good. Matchups, you're probably going to be using this more in ninjas because they're not really a size 3. I mean, unless you're going against Big Shield. But like, if you're going against Gojimaru, there's probably going to be a 1 or a 0 there as well. Purgatory Knights, if they didn't eat all their 1s and 0s. I guess maybe Black Dragons, Death Rulers, 5th Omni Lords, because most of their formations are from 0s, 1s, and 0s, 1s, and 2s. Things like that. So, in 3s and 0s, you still can get away with popping the 0 and the 3 and still doing it. So, it's really, really good in this deck. More often than not, I get it off. Unless they play like 1 monster or something, which then, I mean, they're gonna get bombarded by the formations that this deck puts out. It's really, really good. So far, this deck has been doing good in most matchups. The only matchups I kind of, I guess,